We're missing Chuds. He's late, as always. So, well, not as always, but we're waiting for Chuds. We've got some random questions that Riz said he wants to go through. And then I thought we would cover some topics on mistakes in prep or people that we see do fuck-ups in prep.
Right.
Riz, go on then.
One.
Question 1.
Why does Hilly say he shaves his hair when we all know that he's bald?
Listen, I'm not. I do have a terrible fucking ball cut.
In the shape up, blood.
Not even consider getting that tattoo thing on half patch, you know. It's fucking terrible.
Joking. Right. Why is everyone doing 48 to 72 hour fad fasts?
Because it's a fad. It's really because Dana White did it.
Yeah, Dana White did. There's been some new studies done on this as well recently, because I'm a fucking nerd, on like the negative impacts on like your blood pressure and stuff. Obviously, it was on PubMed, and they did it on some younger teenagers who are like footballers, which is weird because they normally do it on rats. But the kind of study, what they tracked was like when they fasted for a period of time. I don't think it was 72 hours; it might have been 24 or 48. But they tracked like the increase in their heart rate, beats per minute, their blood pressure and stuff. And obviously, you can imagine during that period of fasting, kind of your metabolism slows, your fiber production slows, everything kind of slows down to almost to a state of hibernation. Then all of a sudden, as we know, because they are fat people, they'll go and eat a burger, 9 liters of water, and that sort of stuff, and it just ramps up all your organ functions to the point of it has a negative impact over time. It's weird. I don't get the fad of it, because I think people think they're losing fat when it's just water weight.
I don't think doing long fasts are beneficial. I think when you do it in Ramadan, that's for a religious reason, and people have totally blown it out of the water. Like, yeah, you get a rest on digestion, that's a good thing. But then what they do is they then go, like, hey, how many times do we talk about it? You do a fast for, like, even me, 14 hours when it's Ramadan, it comes to eating, bruv, you can't even eat.
Yeah.
Because your stomach's all, like, fucked, bruv.
I think the problem is, it's like with anything, you get something that's got merit to it, but it's not really cool. So then people want to try and extreme it to either make it cool or make them different. Like for me, I know that there is science that shows if you fast for 12 hours, apparently, in the scientific terms, the triglyceride clearance time in your blood is 12 hours. So it can be beneficial at certain points in the week to have, or even every day, to have 12 hours of not eating. It gives your body a chance to flush triglycerides and everything out. So
Bedtime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
10 to 7.
So I used to have clients on rest days make sure that they had their last meal at a certain time and they didn't have their meal for 12 hours. And if I've got a client that's trying to stay lean, stay healthy, be fit, maintain a healthy body composition, I have them do that every night. So have your last meal at 8 or 9 o'clock, have your first meal at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. That's common sense. I think the problem is there's nothing really cool with that. And obviously research is about pushing things. What people don't realise is research sometimes isn't, or a lot of the time, isn't about new things unless it's medical. It's about looking at what people have done over time and seeing if there's merit to it. So I have done a 24 to 48 hour fast, and there is a lot of science to back up food fasting for that period of time. I don't believe there's any merit to water fasting at all. I think it is the most unhealthiest thing you can do. Now, and I can create, without knowing all of the knowledge, some pretty good merit for not eating any food at all for 24 hours, giving your body a full chance to clear your digestive system out, letting your body burn through glucose, improve it, and all of these things are clear. But then pushing it to 48 to 72, I just think it's like, well, I'll do something extreme so it sounds cool, so it sells. And again, if you are an older person, if you have maybe some health issues, I know people with certain diseases, it's been shown to help. But that's not what most of these people jumping on the gimmick are doing. They are simply jumping on a gimmick with again, like anything else, with no thought of actually is it going to benefit them at all. And if your goals are physique goals, then going without food for 3 or 4 days of the week, or even 2 days, makes no fucking sense at all to me. Now, I do think that if you were in an off season, maybe every 2, 3 or 4 weeks, giving your body 24 hours of not eating and just drinking fluid actually probably has loads of merit.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's to clean up your digestive system. I then also would say actually there's an argument that in prep, potentially giving yourself 16 hours 1 day a week where you just run fat loss and you don't eat, and you hold your last meal off to later on, could speed up fat loss. I've had clients where they have been where we've been behind because of whatever issues, whether it's they've been poorly, they've tweaked the pec, they've binged, whatever, they've been on holiday, where I've said, right, every rest day you're only getting one meal. You're full of steroids, you ain't losing any muscle, and it's easier, in my opinion, to not eat until 9 o'clock than it is to just eat protein only. Actually, I think if you just say to someone, listen, you're not eating until 9 o'clock, just get your head around it, and you amuse yourself all day. Like when I did a 48-hour fast, I did it when I had back-to-back shows at the weekend. I didn't even know I was fasting because I was that busy. I think you were competing actually, because I was that busy going backwards and forwards and left and right. Didn't bother me. And it was only when. So I think that it's like anything, isn't it? If there's rhyme and reason for why you're doing something, and you can see a benefit, then yeah, fair enough. But I think the other stuff, it's just either someone tried to sell you something, or someone tried to look as if they're cool. I just can't see any other reason for it.
I like the mental clarity bit that everyone chirps on about, because you get that if you're just not fat. That's what people don't understand. Like, as we get very lean, we get extremely productive, but it's because our body is just becoming so efficient. We're functioning better. There's no lag, lethargy, all that sort of stuff. And if you just weren't fat and oversaturated with shit food and a poor digestion at the best of times, you would feel alert and productive.
I seen it on my 12-week plans, which are very basic plans for your everyday person. They all see a drastic improvement in mental clarity after 2 to 4 weeks, because they've just pulled all the shit out. They're getting up on the morning doing some cardio, and they're drinking the amount of fluid they should, and they're exercising. Like it isn't, and that's again, it's like anything, isn't it? A lot of people doing this are people that, like you said, they're following a very unhealthy lifestyle day to day.
Yeah.
So they're pulling all of this shit out, everything that's spiking their insulin, everything that's screwing the digestion. They're actually getting their ass out of bed on time. They're not oversleeping, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my god, it's the fast that's made me feel better." When, excuse me, no, it's not. It's just all the shit you've pulled out of your body that's making you feel better.
These fat cunts, what they do is, they eat shit. They do a fast for 72 hours, feel a bit better, and they put the shit back in. And then they go from really good to really low, and then they're like, I need to keep fasting. Then they keep fasting, and they go back to the shit food. Just sort your diet out and stop being a fat fuck. It's just the truth, mate. You can't, bro. There's a reason why.
Why it's so important. Like, if you binge or you fuck up, the best thing you can do is not try and fix it. Just get back on your exact diet, your exact cardio. Don't try and make amends for it. You fucked up. Hold it, own it, and just continue as you were.
Yeah. Any other depth questions, Riz?
I think what does work quite well though is if you do the if you want to have a proper good clear out, do that. Remember that the juice thing, Kelly?
Fuck off, mate.
Oh, I had.
No, I'm being serious.
So I've got a digestive clear out protocol somewhere I created, and it actually works fantastic.
I thought he was mugging me off and saying he was going to do Juice Plus, and I was just going to punch him through the screen.
No,
honestly, bro, it's fantastic. It's actually really, really good.
I created it a while ago, and it's like I got it off someone else, and then adjusted it more to suit us in our lifestyle and what they were doing. And it's particular juices with high dose of this and that. I'll have to dig it out because I forgot about it, to be honest. And it's a 3-day cleanse thing, and it just flushes everything out. That works pretty well. But again, and I think, to be honest, even I forget these things. These are things that really you're probably better off doing every month or two when you're having a big off season and a growth phase, to just slip your mind, don't they?
I'm jealous of Riz's sourdough sandwich.
Yeah, me too.
Riz, is that real sourdough, bro? I bet that's a sourdough and white bread mix in it, you pikey.
Proper sourdough.
Yeah, I tell you what I got the other day. These pocket pitters, like a soft pitter, right? But they're like a big long one like this.
And they're like a white and blue, white wrapper with blue writing on. Yeah. How good are those fucking things?
Yeah, not just that. So for one pitter was like 21 grams of carbs and 6.9 grams of protein.
Yeah. And there's like, it's less than a gram of fat, and it's like 0.6
Yeah,
grams.
fucking nuts.
Daisy nails them all the time.
Yeah, because you literally need 100 grams of cooked chicken and 2 of them, mate, and you've got a 45 gram meat.
And they never go stale. They're always soft. Yeah.
Let me show you something that's quite good, Hilly. You might like these.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Oh, where have you got them from?
They're in Sainsbury's. They're only about £85 each.
I need to start going to Sainsbury's, mate, I think.
No, they are good bagels, those bad boys. The only thing is, with those, you got to toast them properly, otherwise they're a bit too spongy.
I have the normal ones.
I've got a toasted bagel. Like, I can't have a bagel without it being toasted.
Bro, I'm so hungry at the moment. I eat it while driving after the gym.
Yeah,
Oh, you wrong.
I tell you what, I just did. Aralina, I let Aralina pick her own shopping now. We go and she gets a little kiddie trolley and she pushes the trolley.
Yeah.
So she wanted pancakes, so she picked these banana pancakes, Tesco's own. I think they're like 1 gram of fat per pancake or something, and like 18 grams of carbs or something. They were incredible. She'd only eaten half of them, so I wanted the other half. Fucking outrageous. Honestly.
Man, when I'm feeding Honey now and I smell her little like baby food, I'm like, God, this smells fucking good, mate. It's like cheesy jacket potato.
But when I was prepping last year,
Hungry.
Arlena was only 2, right? So I was making her like kids meals that I would never eat, like chips, beans, and
Yeah.
chicken or whatever. And I remember sat looking at her being like, "You better eat that."
Because I was
Do you know how much Daddy would love to eat that at this moment in time? Daddy's hungry, Arlena. You eat your food. And she's like, "Me no what?" And then she'd eat my egg whites. I'm like, "Kid, listen, nobody wants egg whites over here. Get the chips and beans into your dad."
Get a good scranning.
Yeah. Fucking
I have. I was looking at a lot of the sourdough breads recently in Tesco's, yeah, because suddenly sourdough's become the
Instagram
thing.
rant, bro.
It's a lot of them are fake.
Yeah, they
So
are.
it says on there, it says crumpets with sourdough, bread with sourdough, and I thought, let me Google this and have a look. Actual sourdough should be like 5 ingredients and no yeast.
Yeah.
The rest of them, they're all normal bread, where they're just adding a bit of sourdough into it.
Yeah. You can taste the difference. The texture of sourdough should almost be dry, unless it's like toasted or whatever. Like if you're getting sourdough, like some of those ones that you picked up, Riz, the blends, they're like really spongy. They're not like dry and hard. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I went back to having the bread, because it's the Jason sourdough bread, and Tesco's finest sourdough bread is proper sourdough.
They've got a legit one now, haven't they? They've got a protein one. It's got like fucking 6 grams of protein in per slice.
Yeah, I seen it the other day with D.
Yeah.
Jason's have, yeah.
I've got a few questions left over from last time as well. Reese, have you got any more there? Do you want me to work through these?
I had one good one. Well, it's decent actually. Really quick. For the group, all of your favourite labs.
MedTech. And I will stand on my grave saying this. The best UGL GH is by far Baltic, and I'll scrap anyone about it.
Helix.
I'm pretty sure they're made by the same people.
Yeah, for me, can't even say, because at the moment I'm trying to find. Do you know what blows my mind? And I'll touch on this. What I can't get my head around is I keep seeing great test results and poor test results, great test results and poor test results from different labs. Yet everything I expect to see from the more expensive compounds, I see.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It's forced, which brings me back to it being a testing issue that I keep going on about all the time. And even Dave Cossum to put his head up his ass for whatever he's doing.
Someone asked me about that last week, saying how the test results, how they come back.
I don't know. He hasn't mentioned it to me, so I haven't chased him, but I'm going to chase him because I'm presuming there was an issue. But what I don't get is, so I'll give examples. I wasn't impressed with my raw test result at all. And then 2 clients came back with, they were both taking 150, 160 meg of raw test sip. They had readings of 62 and 71 or something, right? I was taking 260 meg of the raw test E, and I got 38, 36, which isn't for me very good.
Yeah.
And then Riz had 1 great raw test E, one and then 1 average raw, and it's like, what's these fluctuations? So I've switched directly from the test sip that these 2 guys I know were using. From the same guy, from the same fucking time, right? But I've sent my bloods off to Medichecks yesterday, and I haven't got an email today saying they've been received. Now, I'm meant to start my fucking cycle today tomorrow. If them cunts haven't received my blood, there's going to be fucking hell on, because I'm going to have to hold off my cycle even longer to redo it. But I want a direct comparison because I'm doing the same dose before bed in the same love handles at the same time every night. So it's going to be a direct comparison between 2 bloods I've seen, they were intermuscular, but 2 bloods I've seen. I've done the raw test E sub-Q and then the ROM test C sub-Q. So if I've got to hold off till next week to redo them, I will hold off till next week to redo them.
And I know sometimes it does sound like we are slating labs, but please also understand a lot of this can come from the manufacturers, the people that create the raw materials. That can be a mishap, but every year we all know this. the labs go through cycles, which speaks to obviously everybody is either using the same manufacturer at some point or the same brewers or same labs or whatever
Or
that
say
is.
raws, yeah.
Yeah. And I think we are starting to go for this cycle now from the mountain of people I've been speaking to, that everything's getting a little bit shit, specifically testosterone.
And it did 2 years ago as well, like you say, that same sort of cycle.
Big time.
And I've got no link to anything because I used ROM, then I used stuff I bought in Dubai, then I used all of raw stuff, then I've been using ROM again and raw again, and I can get any lab I want, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter to me. But what I do is every client that gives me their results, or even when other coaches pay me to review their clients' blood works, or when I'm just reviewing random people's blood works, I make a note. I have a big list of what lab was this, what lab was that, simply because for one, I can then recommend it to clients, and for two, we can talk about it on here. But at the moment, there is no lab that I can totally say they're bang on all of the time in terms of the testosterone result. And like another example, Marcus, client Marcus, he's been using Ignis, right? Whatever he was using was underdosed. So we switched. The changes we've seen in his physique from the same dose were unbelievable. Unbelievable. 250 mega test. But, and this is where it can skew your results as a coach, just for people listening. His initial result is estrogen was too low. It was at like 62. So he's been on this dose 5 weeks now, and he's got bigger, leaner, fuller, and his strength's gone nuts. So me and him have been like, fucking hell, mate, I can't wait to test your bloods on this because it's going to be nuts. Came back at 46 or 48, which is better than the quantity he was using. So obviously this is does better than the quantity, that batch. Again, doesn't matter to me which lab it is. But his estrogen's gone from, because I pulled the Primo, from 69 to 191.
So he's growing every week.
And I told him, I actually said it's not going to be the gear, it's going to be your estrogen. And what we've seen, he's kept getting leaner because we've still got him in a deficit. We're pushing the deficit. But he's got ridiculously fuller. He's got ridiculously rounder. His strength's gone through the roof and he feels better. And it isn't an impact of the testosterone, obviously. There's 10 or 11 millimole difference in it. It's the E2. So what I'm trying to get at here is a lot of the time the way you're feeling isn't even directly related to the fucking whether the testosterone you're taking is real or not, how dosed is. 9 times out of 10 when someone comes to me and they're feeling off, it's usually because their estrogen is too high, or 9 times out of 10 too low. Because what people don't realise is this new trend that we fucking slag off all the time, what makes us laugh, about people running very high dose Primo with fucking low dose tests, is great in a contest prep if you're trying to bottom out Primo, if probably bottom out E2. But you're actually putting yourself in a terrible environment for muscle growth.
Absolutely.
So, for example, he was literally taking 250 mega test and 100 mega Primo, and he looked like shit and he felt like shit. He's then gone 250 mega test again, and all we've seen is an 11 millimole increase. We've pulled the Primo out, and he's got bigger, leaner, harder, and strength to the fucking roof. So these guys that keep coming to me, oh, well, I want to run 250 test and fucking 800 Primo. In a growth cycle, you have to be thick as shit to do that because you just bottoming your test out. So your estrogen out, and you need that to grow. You need that for your HDL to be good. You need it for your LDL to be in range. You need it for your sex drive. You need it for your mental clarity and your focus. Like estrogen is one of the key tools to this.
People that I was talking to my client Mitch today, I goes, mate, you do know when E2 is higher, you'll probably grow better, right?
100%.
He goes, how the fuck's that? I went, bro, listen, trust me. If you can get your E2 as high as possible,
No
with
side
no
effect.
sides,
You're laughing.
you can take pure estrogen, yeah, and I guarantee you have a better cycle if you can handle the side effects.
I'll tell you what I will say though, and obviously we're all experienced to know when something's off. In the odd times I've run it, I've switched to ROM test, and I always notice a difference from when I come off of the ROM and go on something else. So it normally happens when I go back on MedTech, I get fuller rounder. I've just come off the ROM now and I've gone back onto Crown. It's a long story how I got that. I did some swapsies. So I got some Crown pharma testing, and I instantly feel definitely more estrogenic, a little bit watery, but way stronger, way fuller, a bit more aggy. So and it is a consistent I see with ROM, and I don't think it's duff or it's fake. I think potentially it seems to be underdosed more often than not when I am using it.
Yeah, but
It
bro,
seems to be their test E as well.
Yeah.
Because I've switched from their test E to their test C because I saw these two clients with great blood results. And my weight's gone up a little bit, and my strength's gone up, my sex drive's gone up, everything is better.
That's the big thing for me. I can't stop shagging. For the
but
past
I
couple of
think,
weeks.
yeah, I think, Deck, your issue isn't the gear. I think it's the carrier oil, because some people, when they use MCT, they don't get the same bang for their buck.
Yeah.
Because when I use GSO, when I use Raw, and when I use MedTech, two labs that I really like, yeah, I had motherfucking knots in all of my
Yeah,
delts.
it's mad, isn't it?
But went to MCT, Helix, ROM, Bullion, yeah. I've got no lumps, no bumps, and I've been pinning every day.
Yeah. I think GSO sits really well with me. I think it does. Because I get no pin.
Yeah,
Hey, boys, I finally pinned my
GSO,
traps the other day.
oh, fuck that.
Ooh.
Do you know what a rookie mistake is? Imagine pinning it the day before squatting. You should have seen me sitting this on my fucking
Let me
neck.
turn
with
this
my
light
weight
on because
on
I'm a bit dark.
it. But
I've
yeah,
been,
it's a pretty good. It's pretty comfortable. Like now, they feel very fucking full. That's for sure.
Jordan's a
I've
big fan
been
of pinning
using,
straps. Cougars as well.
Jordan and James. I spoke to James about it in the gym, and it's logic, isn't it? Just find a muscle that has no lines of detail, and you're worried about blurring. And who doesn't
yeah.
want fucking odd, jimmied up traps sticking up by their ears? Everyone does.
I've been using Helix for the past 4 weeks. Very impressed.
I'm a huge
I
fan of
feel
Helix.
Helix, the stuff sits very well. I've been using the Bullion DHB, which sits very well. And I've been using some of the ROM Masteron E, and everything seems on the money.
Yeah.
But I am just using whatever I've got, whatever
this
I
is
can get. Do you know what I mean?
just to touch back on the estrogen topic, Reverend. This is the beauty of Masteron. And I keep seeing this on the Train by JP forum. Why would you pick Primo? Why would you pick Masteron? Blah, blah, blah. Are they interchangeable? And I know we've discussed this before, but just to echo what we were saying, Primo will reduce everybody's estrogen way more effectively than Masteron does. Masteron doesn't even reduce it for a lot of people. Primo will work well at reducing estrogen, and in some people it works better than others. So if you are someone that suffers with high estrogen sides, and it doesn't matter what you do, you get them, then something like Primo or our favourite equipoise will work very well. Depending on how estrogen sensitive you are, if you can get Primo or not, depends on which one you go to. Because, for example, you might need 3 or 4 mil of Primo more than likely if you're taking a decent chunk of test. Actually, if you're taking 500 or 600 mg test and you need your estrogen to be closer to the range, you're probably going to need 500 or 600 mg Primo, which is 5 or 6 mil, and it's an expensive cost. Whereas 1 mil of equipoise in a lot of people I see will do the same, if not better, in AI control, in estrogen control, with just 1 mil of oil and a much less cost. But the other thing is, and touch on what Riz and Deck was saying, is that really we want estrogen higher in a growth phase. Now, what Masteron does very well, doesn't bring your estrogen down, but it stops the estrogen binding to things and giving you high estrogen sides. So where there's merit to actually be, when people say, well, should I choose Masteron or should I choose Primo? And you get a lot of people saying, it's the same thing, just pick one or the other. It's not the same thing at all. Because, and this is why I'm a fan of both, Masteron will stop you getting high estrogen sides. Now, where you may get sides may be different for all three of us. So really what I've found is using a mixture of both in a growth cycle seems to make the most sense. Potentially using the Primo enough just to bring your estrogen where you, as high as you can have it. Yeah. But then if you've got the mast in there as well, that may allow your estrogen to sit higher than you can usually get away with. And then, so that means that you can have estrogen higher, which is better for muscle building, it's better for your HDL. And then the Masteron is allowing that to be higher, The Primo's keeping it where you want it, but Primo is also better for nitrogen retention. And as we know, nitrogen retention is better for growth. So there's a big argument there for using both drugs.
Yeah. And I think that's where EQ comes into its own, isn't it? Like, it competes with the aromatase enzymes. So, like, if you were to, in an ideal world, ultimately, I would go down the Primo and EQ route, not the Masteron route. I'd get the nitrogen benefits from Primo. I think you can get the benefits from that anything between 300 and 600 milligrams. I'm happy to sit at 3. And then I'll use the bulk of the milligrams that I require from the EQ then, obviously. And as we know, I like to run high testosterone, and that's the perfect blend for me.
So I'll give you a real world example. So Deck would do that because he'll have his testosterone high, and I usually favour testosterone high as well. This next phase I'm going to do, I'm going to keep my test at 300 or 400 mg, which is on the lower side. So where I would also actually favour potentially using EQ and Primo, I can't do that, because if I'm only taking 300 or 400 mg of test, and I use EQ and Primo, it'll bottom my estrogen out.
Yeah.
Because they're both, and this is the point I'm trying to get across, is how it's not about just picking drugs and putting them together because it's cool or because such and such said. It's about, what do you want from the purpose of each drug? Why do you want it? And then what environment are you in? If you're trying to grow maximally, then you want to pick what I was saying, where it allows you to keep your estrogen higher with no sides.
Yeah.
If you're in prep and you want it lower to get rid of fat loss, then you want to keep it on the lower side. So it's just about picking the drugs, how they react to your body.
Yeah, exactly.
And then going with that.
And I think, like, if there's a time everybody in an off-season of prep, they look back at a picture, they look fucking amazing, they felt amazing. Get those compounds, try and remember what they were and the ratios they were at. At that point, that ultimately, in my opinion, from a biofeedback standpoint, is your cycle. Then all you do over time is escalate that dosages. And John Jewett said it in a very nerdy, weird way. Still can't believe he gets to bang that bird. But he said it in a very weird, posh way. But ultimately what he's saying is, once you've found those compounds and those ratios, it is just a case of upping the dose. That's it. It's a total milligram load from then. But I cannot stress this enough. If you find that sweet spot where you feel amazing on the gym, even if that's a 250 mega test on 100 milligram of Primo, that's your ratio. Scale that up. Don't chop and change because what your mate's doing or what your favorite influencer's doing. Just do that, escalate it, because it doesn't really get better than that. Trust me.
And don't forget the long age saying, once everything is on point, you are only as fucking big as your dose.
Big fat.
And that is a fucking big fat kid.
I like Masteron a lot. I've used it a lot over the past year, and I've made most of my progress over the past year.
And that's because you were more prone to estrogen sides.
Yeah,
You always suffer with gyno issues every time. So this is what I mean. It's that drug will suit Wiz because he is more estrogen sensitive. He does suffer with sides. It's preventing his sides, therefore it's allowing him to push things harder.
Yeah.
And he feels good while he's pushing harder. So it makes complete logical fucking sense that he rates it so much. And this is exactly what Deck's saying. Find what works for you and what makes you feel good, and like what we did with Deck. Rinse the living daylight out of it. Unfortunately, for some people, and this was the problem me and Riz had, we like to experiment too much. Whereas me and Deck were like, listen, I feel good on this. It works. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Where because me and Riz working together was a long time ago, we were both, I was a little bit ahead of Riz in knowledge, so I was almost using Riz as an experiment. Riz was like, yes, Hilly, you experimented with Jordan, experiment with me. So we were going round in circles. Whereas I got to a certain stage, and then I would say it puts Deck in a big advantage, where I wasted so much time experimenting. Me and Deck worked together at the point where I realised, find what works good and rinse and fucking repeat the shit.
Yeah.
And then you have the unbelievable progress that you've seen Deck make, because aside from the fact that his work ethic is so amazing, he just rinsed and repeat what worked well from the get-go, more or less.
Yeah, because I was talking to Nathan the other day, and I said, everything that I'm doing with you now is everything I did with Hilly back in 2017, 2018, yeah? And that was my biggest jump in progress that year. From that first show, when I actually went to do off-season with him.
Yeah.
And it goes, my digestion is back how it used to be, which is obviously a big difference, yeah? And it goes, I'm just doing as you say, and we know what works. You've asked me what works, I've told you, and we're just running with that. And I'm nearly 200 pounds already. So I can't really like,
when's your surgery?
June the 10th.
I can't wait to see 1,000 milligram test for his.
I sent Hilly a calculation earlier. I will have enough GH from my source to run 9 IUs a day for 100 days. The pharma.
Nice.
So I got obviously. I was in two minds, bro. Because obviously, everyone said to me on stage, "Bro, I can't see, I know." I went, listen, you can't see it because I use fucking tamoxifen every day.
Yeah. But there's a
I need it
psychological side of it as well, isn't it? Like you said to me, Riz, I can't see it, but I know when it's in your head, it's in your fucking head, and it's all you fucking look at. You almost don't look past the physique, you know?
Bro, the smaller the gyno is, the easier it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
the less damage it's going to cause. I'd rather it happen now, and then I'm going to take 4 weeks. I'm going to go holiday now, come back, train for 4 weeks. If I need to cut for a bit, I will.
Yeah.
And then we will get the op done. I'll have 4 weeks off. And then after that, bro, I'm doing straight. That'll be 8 weeks off the gear. I'm going to do a grammar fucking test. Yeah, a grammar test, a fucking grammar deca. And that's all I'm going to do, bro.
Nah,
With loads
bro.
of GH.
You want to do 400 deca, 400 EQ. Thank you later.
Listen, fuck EQ.
Hey,
Listen,
you're not a boy. You can't say that.
bro, listen, I have come to the conclusion that no drug is better. Because my only issue working with Hilly all them years was prolactin's gone up, estrogen's gone up.
Yeah.
Oh, drop this, drop that. We've got to drop the test button down. We've got to use E2. We've got to use manage E2. And when you're constantly fucking about with them variables, bro, your appetite goes. So this time I'm going to listen, mate. What did I do Hilly back then? Oh yeah, grammar test. I'm going to do fucking a big dose of Deca. That's a very low volume of gear to pin. Put a bit of DHB in it, and take as much GH as I can possibly afford. And I will see £230
Easy. With ease, Riz.
With ease.
Start getting scared to eat food or your mouth starts hurting.
What I have done is recently I've leveled up my cooking, yeah. So what I do is, bless Dee, she makes a lot of my meals for me. That's why I obviously paid for her a bag the other day. I paid for her Invisalign.
Yeah. Can we get back in there?
Yeah.
Listen, Dee, bro.
There's no teeth in there, make the big thing.
I literally said, Dee, I'm like, Dee, I'm hungry. She's like, I'll make your food for you. I'm like, yes. It's like being my mum again. I'm like, yes, make my food. What we do now is I get the chicken cut in cubes, and then I get chicken mince as well, and then we get beef mince, and I get beef in cubes. So the cube stuff goes in the barbecue, or the mince we make on a pan, because when you make it on the pan, it takes 2 minutes, yeah, and I just put it in bread. That's a simple meal, or I put a bit of pasta sauce, put it in on my rice. And every meal tastes fucking banging.
Yeah.
I'm back to eating bagels, back to eating Cocoa Pops, back to eating oats, gluten free. I'll tell you, Hilly, but I'm not taking the piss with it though. I'm not going like mad. Yeah. And I feel mega. My strength's gone through the roof. But because every meal's done fresh, everything tastes fucking nice.
It digests better. We said, we all know digestion starts in the mouth, doesn't it? And it blows my mind. I've always said this. I enjoy cooking. I'm an avid cook in the kitchen. And I think I can't believe how bland, when I see, and they think it's like hardcore, just plain rice and chicken with like a squirt of ketchup, like it fucking kills me, man. Like it's so unnecessary. A bit of seasoning and a bit of half decent sauce ain't gonna do you any damage. Even cooking it like on a barbecue or an air fryer will make the world of difference how your food actually fucking tastes, you know?
Bro, air fryer is so shit, yeah? If I have it on the air fryer now, I feel sick.
What do you mean?
So it makes the chicken taste dead dry, bro, man.
No, you're just overcooking it, bro.
Yeah.
Do you know what I heard the Asians do today? I'm not gonna make a joke. This is serious. They will, so the chicken or the beef or the pork, they'll cover in bicarbonate soda initially. Then they wash the bicarb off, and apparently that's how all their mint or when you look at the sushi and stuff, it's all so tender.
Bullshit.
Swear to God, Google it.
Bro, I know a lot of the Jamaican guys love to wash their chicken in lemon water and all that.
Yeah.
My mum's got a thing about washing chicken, but to what I know, when you wash stuff and fuck about with it, you actually spread more germs.
It's true, especially with this process now, because it goes through the cleaning process. What they're doing is like the old outdated way when someone like cut his head off, stripped it, all that sort of stuff. But they clean it now, so if you wash it, you're just exposing it to more bacteria.
Yeah.
And you're spreading that bacteria over your sink and your plates, and it's nasty.
I tell you what, just to add, I've been watching a podcast, an American one, with that beef stew and these three other guys. I think they're all pros. And I mentioned it Riz yesterday. They were all about one of the podcast questions was pharma growth or normal growth. So they said good generics they feel is good as pharma, but a lot of them use pharma. But they were all talking about what their dose is and what their dose is, and literally, it was 6 IU to 10 IU. Be on 10 IU for as long as you fucking can. Every one of them was like, start low, don't be silly. But I think one was 6 to 8, the other one was 8 to 10, and then the other two. Beef stew was like, I've been on 10 IU for years now, and I fucking Blue said do 10 IU, and I ain't coming off. And then the other guy said, well, ever since fucking Stu mentioned he does 10 IU all the time. Yeah, I mean 10 IU all the time, and they're all massive. Like this.
But they are sold, aren't they, on it? The generics are better in terms of affordability in the IUs. You can run
Yes.
comparable to the, what do they use?
Do you know what?
Is it cis
Sarostin.
Thurstims? Yeah.
But bro, I always watch Skip Hill. He's one of my favourite coaches, yeah? I'm a big fan of him. And he used generics for years. And he was adamant there was no difference. He switched over to Sarostin and he goes, listen, I've been doing this shit for a long fucking time. I'm old and I'm fucked because there's a big difference.
Yeah.
But so I'm a big Skip Hill fan as well, but I'll counteract that and not counteract it. Do you think it makes a difference in him thinking it's better if he's always used generics that we know come with more water retention, right? Bearing in mind he's had some health issues, bearing in mind he's now an older gentleman, is him, say he's been taking 6 or 8 IU, which I know that's his normal dose, I believe, or I've heard him say, of generics. If he's then switched to 6 or 8 IU of Serostim, Sizin, Gene, or whatever, there's going to be a big shift in fluid retention. Huge. Is he then noticing, and this is not me saying this is the case, because it's not, because when I first heard him say that, Riz, it was about 2 months ago. No, it was maybe 9 months, whenever it was, I was like, sick, fucking you, Farmer was better. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, hang on. Bloke's old, been at a long time, had a fair few health issues. Has he just, is the farmer cleaner, which we know it is, and is that why he feels better? And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying he's not a perfect example. I know what you're saying is he's used it for so long, but there's a big external factor there.
I can only go by my personal experience, yeah? I'm not going to come in and chat shit. Bruv, my hand, since I've been using Pharma-GH, yeah, has fucking grown, yeah? My foot has grown. My fucking cock has probably gone smaller, yeah? Which is a violation, yeah?
But the only thing that I keep going and saying is, don't forget the only reason you using Pharma is because AJ had me use it, and I was adamant it's better, right?
I didn't give a fuck.
That's why we all switched, or most of us switched. So my problem now is, though, what I'm coming to get, and again, this is just the weird thoughts that go on in my head, the constant fucking debates, is that it doesn't seem no matter how high I take my Pharma-GH, I don't see any of that. And what made me start questioning this was, I gave it to 2 of my very good friends that are clients, and then Riz had some as well, all from the same source. And everybody's reporting these sides, and I'm like, what? It was me that did the first fucking 6 IU a day fucking test before even I mentioned it to what I use. It doesn't matter whether I take 2 IU, 4 IU, 6 IU, or 8 IU. The scale doesn't fucking move, and I don't feel any fucking difference.
I think people can be susceptible to carpal tunnel anyway.
And that's
the biggie, and that's not a good side effect. That's a shit house of a side effect.
But this is what I'm saying, Derek. This is what I'm going on in my head. We know my body handles drugs better anyway, right? We know I don't really get any sides, but it works always fine. So
if your body handles, Haley, right? 1 second. Sorry to cut you off. If we know your ALT is always good, right? But obviously, let's say you take drugs. The role of the drug is to go to your liver and obviously pass through and survive, yeah? Do you think, because your liver's so efficient, it's smashing it so hard that you're not getting the same uptake?
No, it shouldn't work that way. The way it should work is, I should be able, so I tell you who I was listening to a podcast of yesterday. Stefan. Is it Stefan?
Yeah.
Boss of Outlaw.
What a funny cunt.
So he
actual mad bastard on a podcast.
So the way he was explaining it is the people's bloods who don't show toxicity should be taking more drugs because they can take more drugs and they will keep getting the benefit. Because the more stress, what you're saying there is actually, the more stressed your liver is, the less it can flush and cleanse, so the less the drugs will work. I just think with me, everything that everybody else reports is a side effect. It's not the drug working. Because I'm not seeing any side effects, in my head I start questioning if something's real. So everybody's seeing these side effects from the genos, and I'm like, are my genos fake? And then I'm like, well, it can't be, because it's me that's given it to these 3 fucking people. So, like, what have I just got? The unlucky 3 pens. And then what I did, I had 2 clients tried that Biolabs generic GH, and they all were like, Hilly, I've got terrible carpal tunnel syndrome, I've gained 6 pounds of water, all the normal things that you expect. So I was like, right. So I paid the £165 fucking pound for the kit off the Biolabs. I was running 5 IU of the Genos that I've always been running. I stopped them. My weight didn't really move. I did look a little bit less fuller, but my sleep didn't change. Nothing changed. You couldn't have really told. Then I went in at 5 IU of the Biolabs. My sleep did improve for the first couple of nights. Scale didn't really move. Then I switched from the Biolabs 5 IU to the Sizen that I know has come straight from a pharmacy with the script sticker on in this country. And I didn't feel any fucking different. So what I've come to establish is for myself, I just don't feel any of the sides. So keep pushing it up if I can afford to. But the other question, the other important point there for me, just for people listening, is what that does sort of tell me is I do think the Biolabs generic stuff is decent generics. You just pay a bit
I
more
was going to say that. I don't think GH generics are all equal. And I think a friend of mine switched from the client, actually, the Biolabs to the Baltic stuff. And like he said, he got all the benefits that he was getting from the Biolabs, but just without the mad water retention. Like he was complaining about the watery, washy midsection, what everyone gets from GH. But I don't think all generics are equal. I think
Definitely not.
I think if you can get a good generic, I think it's extremely comparable. And from a cost ratio, if you are trying to run it extremely high, I think there is enough evidence, anecdotal from all of us, to say that as long as it's a half decent generic, it's comparable to anything pharma.
I think it depends, bro, because I am in the camp, and this is probably not a good good habit of mine. Yeah, something I picked up off Hilly. If you're going to use ADEX, use pharma-grade.
Yeah.
If you have
Yeah.
access to the fucking pharma one, use the pharma one. And I have become a bit of a snob. I've used Gen A before and I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I did used to get carpet and all that bollocks from it as well. But I'm now in the camp of, right, I'm 30. I've got about 3 or 4 good years. I am going to use everything that I know that is 100% legit
course.
and try
Yeah,
to use
yeah,
that as best as I can, because I'm doing this full time and I need to do it properly and I don't want to cut any corners.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think if it's financially affordable, then go for the generics. I just think
I think everything's
I think
financially
and I think it's so
affordable.
dosage dependent as well. Like if you're trying to crank it out at 10 IUs a day, I think there is a cost benefit to running generics. Obviously, you've got to remember, I did exactly what Hilly did. I did the whole trial of the Baltics, the GH. I then did the Genos. I then did the Genos and Baltic, and then I did the Baltic alone. And again, just like Hilly said, I didn't see any difference. I don't get me wrong, I looked fucking ace with all of them. I looked fucking ace, but I didn't see an improvement from the Genos in any way, shape, or form that it would make it worthwhile.
Bro, I am my own biggest critique and I will rip my physique to bits, yeah?
Yeah.
Since I've been using Pharma GH and using the GH consistently now for about 8 months, 9 months a year, yeah? My physique has got this different look.
I can see. I know what you're talking about.
It's more of the thickness
I think that's Lantus. I don't think that's a G. Honestly.
No. Well,
I
think it's GH over time with everything else and time under the gym and everything else. But I just think I would put that more down to the dose of GH and the consistency. Not that it might be far.
Yeah.
And we can debate that backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the subject of Lantus, if we do have any diabetics listening to us, slide in with fucking DMs, because people are taking the piss with this shit at the moment.
We all need Lantus.
Yeah.
Here, and just touch on that. So, I'm because I'm doing what I always do. I'm going to go through a wasting my own time period where I'm just experimenting with shit. So this next phase I'm doing, I've decided I'm going to keep my food exactly where it's at, which is low, and I'm pretty fucking lean now. The cycle I'm going to run is going to be 300 to 400 mega test, 250 mega DHB,
Nice.
400 mega mast, and either Primo or Equipoise, depending on what this blood work comes back, so I can keep my estrogen just above normal. Because I've been cruising the longest time I've cruised in a fucking long time now, about 11 or 12 weeks, because of these stupid blood works in labs.
Ever since having a baby, right? It's the longest cruise you've done.
Yeah. So I'm going to put these drugs in. I'm going to keep the GH at 5 IU, and I should just recomp superbly. But then I was sat last night thinking, what else could I do to sort of like maybe play about with things? So today I put in 5 IU Atlantis with all my normal meals. and I'm going to see how high I can drive the Lantus up on the same meal plan without having any hypo issues. So what only on training days. So what my thinking is, the drugs are massively driving protein synthesis and your nutrient uptake. So there's going to be a huge shift in body composition from the drugs. The growth is then improving nutrient transport and nutrient uptake because it does it through certain amino acids. It's pushing up the blood glucose a bit, and it's massively spiking IGF levels. Then the Lantus alongside is increasing the nutrient uptake as well. And we know Lantus is the only insulin that's got a positive effect on IGF levels. So I am going to see how much I can use drugs and not food to drive a recall effect and see what
I think
happens.
you'll be surprised. I
think it's going to be nuts. So I have 50 grams of oats with meal. So this is the first time in my life I'm able to hold this fucking lean body composition with ease. I'm doing 25, 30 minutes of cardio every day that Irelina doesn't wake up at 5 o'clock in the fucking morning, which is about 5 or 6 days. I am doing 10 minutes HIT on the stairs, post-stall sessions to keep my fitness up. And then my food intake is literally 40 grams of carbs in meal 1, 40 grams of carbs meal 2, 30 grams of carbs post-workout, 40 and 40. So what's that, 40, 80? I'm about 200 grams of carbs and 340 grams of protein. And that is holding, I mean, that's how to show you. This is holding.
And I can guarantee you'll be able to take that Lantus as high as 40, 50 IUs without any problem at all because you're consistent feeding times.
The only thing I've got to be careful of is, as we know, is if I put any fast digesting carbs in a hypo. So to the point, and this again is interesting for people, no Lantus, I haven't used any insulin for fucking months and months and months now. If I put in Train by JP Performance Fuel, either intra-workout or post-workout with amino acids, I hypo within an hour after training, fucking every time. So I've pulled all carb powder out. The 30 grams of carbs I'm getting post-workout is either from fruit in a smoothie from at David Lloyd's, or it is from caramel rice cakes. But I've been, like I said, I'm holding, where am I?
You can see in your fucking face as well, you're holding a decent body composition.
Mate, I'm holding this. This was post-workout today. Can't really see.
Yeah,
that's a summer
very,
rig.
very good for you.
Yeah, for me. And then I seem to be holding a chunk of water still during the day, which is why I want to say research is because when I wake up in the morning, I'm fucking that lean.
Yeah. But you're always going to water over a touch, aren't you? Like we're not the genetic elite. Like we're always going to water over a touch by the time we get to the evening.
But I've got 5 weeks till I go to Alicante, so I'm just going to put this dump of drugs in, play about with the insulin. I have got the Biolabs generics left. I might jack my growth up to 7.5 IU because this was always the idea of my experiments this year, wasn't it? To see if I can keep total drugs at a gram and how much I can, because this is what that Blue Taylor reckons. Blue Taylor reckons you only need so many anabolics and then you can do crazy stuff with more insulin and growth. So I think I can put, if I keep my pharma at 5, and I'm going to put 3.3 of the generics in before training.
I would put the generics in pre-bed to stop the
switch it around.
Yeah, because I think you use the generics, you won't hold as much fluid. So
what we did when you did it last year, isn't it? Yeah.
Then put the generics in pre-bed, and you should wake up nice and full and quite tight.
And I'm going to just see what happens over the next 5 weeks, and then when I get back from Alicante, I should, in theory, be leaner and harder than ever, and then I'm going to start titrating food up with it all and see what happens.
Yeah, awesome.
I think the I know you're not a fan of it, Hilly. The Cardarine.
It's just because it's just the only reason I'm not a fan of Cardarine is, and it should have dawned on me at the time. I have been taking drugs, steroids, for an awful long time, and I've been partying for an awful long time. Never in my life have I had to let blood. AJ suggested I use Cardarine during a cruise last year before prep to try and improve my HDL. And I got bloods done. Now, my hemocratic and hemoglobin always sit just above the range. Blood pressure, fine. My hemoglobin and hemocratic after 8 weeks of that stuff was higher than ever. And I'm 38 years old, 37 last year, and I had to let blood for the first time in my life. Now, actually, that makes a lot of sense because Cardarine is an endurance drug. It improves everybody's endurance. How is it improving everybody's endurance? By increasing your red blood cells. So it does make sense for someone that doesn't take steroids to use Cardarine because they don't have any of the drugs in their system that is thickening your blood. I am of the belief now that it is backwards to use Cardarine that thickens your blood when you are taking any dose of steroid that also thickens your blood. We know steroids by nature, by their mechanisms, will always thicken our blood to a certain extent. Then adding another supplement that is designed to thicken your blood, that is what people are using it for, makes no sense to me.
Because I'm using the Cardarine at the moment, and I actually feel very, very good on it.
And some people will, some people won't have that genetic response. It's like anything else. But for most, I've seen 2 other people that put Cardarine in on top of steroids, and their blood thickness went through the
We'll see what mine comes back at. Because obviously I've been on a cycle for a long time now, and I've prepped. So I want to see what it comes up as.
Because some people just, because what you might find is we know your liver takes a beating no matter what. Me and you both know that for a fact. I can go on sesh for days at a time in Ibiza and be on cycle and my liver's fine. But that might then flip, Riz. Genetically, you might find it doesn't matter what you do, your blood doesn't get thicker. Whereas for the rest of us, that's not the case. Because we all have these different genetic disparities, would be the term.
I've got best protocol for maximizing growth post-show rebound. Health is not a priority.
My man.
That was from my boy ADMC.
I think
watch the podcast.
I think I've got a client who's going through this at the moment. I think the key thing is, I know what you want us to say, which is just bash the shit out of the drugs, but ultimately it's stretching the period of staying sensitive with food is absolutely paramount. So obviously everybody wants an off-plan meal and all that sort of stuff, but ultimately the aim of the game is to make sure you're responsive and get food as high as possible whilst maintaining that. So keep your cardio in. I wouldn't just pull lipolyptics out straight away. Keep them for a bit of time. Slowly start escalating your food up to training's good. And then potentially what I would do with people is drop down to we call it a sports
elevated
cruise during that period of time. Then once you're past the hunger signaling side of things and food's at a decent spot, I would then crank the drugs if your bloods look good, and then you are sure to see some ridiculous super compensation from that point.
Everybody knows I'm a huge fan of the rebound period, huge fan for all of the things Dex said there. And I used to be a fan of a rebound cycle like everybody else was. What I have now come to understand is if you do a rebound cycle and keep your toxicity high, just as you're feeling good and hitting the ground running, you're then going to have to drop to a cruise. And apart from the fact that that makes no sense, mentally, it's a kick in the balls. So I've been doing this for a couple of years with Deck, with Riz, with other people now, whereas what we will do post-show is we will run the elevated cruise Deck mentions, but we were, and that you can pull an arbitrary number out, but really that just wants to be a dose that you know your body will drop the toxicity off. So I had 3 clients do this at the end of last year. We did 300 mega test, 200 mega Primo for 2 of them, 200 mega Mast for the other one, based on the way their insulin response is. After 8 weeks, they'd all gained 30 pounds. They were all super lean. 2 of their blood work came back absolutely fine. Everything in range, or you're talking ALT at like 60, whatever. 1 of them's ALT was still at 110. So what that tells us is the total dosage of drugs was potentially a little bit too high for him to drop all of the toxicity. The other 2, it was fine. So I'm saying this because the point is, it's really about that total dose, as Deck mentions. And for most people, we know in terms of science, you can get away with 300 mg of test and there's no toxicity. We also know from science, you can take 3, 4, 5, 600 mg of Primo and there's no toxicity. So, and we also know from my own blood work, I can run a fucking 1500 mg worth of key and there'll be no toxicity in my blood work.
My argument with what you said there, just to keep the podcast interesting, yeah? So the guy's ALT come back at 110. We don't know what his was after the cycle. His prep, it could have been 500 after the prep cycle, and it's gone down to 110. And the guys who are 50, theirs might only be 90. So technically, the guy who might be 110 might have actually made the most amount of reduction in toxicity.
But what I mean is we want the toxicity. What I would like to see is it being in the best place so that at 8 week mark we can go back up.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like
yeah.
what you're saying is right. He might have seen the bigger drop, so he might recover fine. Arguably, that's not going to be the case because if he's got a weaker liver that put his hands at the top, it's going to take him longer to come down.
Mm.
But what I mean is I would want you to pick a dose that allows you to drop that toxicity off at the 8 week mark. And then it runs back into what Deck was saying was, for me, what I've found is tends to take 4 to 8 weeks after a prep, which we all see, where the gym starts feeling good, the food focus is gone, your joints feel good, your mood's back up. And if you run a big rebound cycle like AJ had me do, and I've been doing this now for a couple of years that I feel is the best way. And out of principle, AJ wanted me to run a rebound cycle, so I did it how I wouldn't do it. And it went okay. But what was shit was I had 8 or 9, 10 clients that all competed around the time I did. And I did my method with them. And at the 6, 7, 8 week mark, they were all fresh. They were all feeling good. And I was escalating all of their drugs. They were all 20 or 30 pound heavier. They were all looking great. And it was just like they got over the post-show feeling. Then they started feeling good. Then the gym was good. And then we put the drugs in and it just went perfect. Whereas for me, I did the 6 week rebound. I just started feeling good. The gym was just bad. And then AJ went, time to cruise. And I went, mentally, I was like, well,
I
let's
think as well, Hilly, obviously, as you said yourself as well, I mean, you always talk about, I think if you were to do that again, the way AJ did it, it'd be different because you had a lot of stress at that time.
Yes.
Which would, and we all know that
Which
fucks
plays
shit
a
up.
part, yeah. But I just think the psychological part of, if you can, and again, those 3 guys I'm on about, they prove it more than anybody, especially that Lucas. Lucas is currently up 50-something pound from stage. Kid still, mate, he looks absolutely mental. And the kids, and we literally did 45 pound of that on like 4 or 500 big total.
Yeah.
So I don't think there would have been any benefits of him running a rebound cycle, only negatives.
Yeah.
And I just keep seeing that over and over again. And it goes back to what Dex said first of, you can make progress on that amount of drugs. If you can then drop the toxicity off, if you can then do this, it's for me, it's that, it comes back to how much psychology plays a part in this. If you can just keep, because the way I explain it to clients is, by week 6 to 8, we want you feeling great, looking great, and raring to go to keep growing. And it goes, and it's how I always say, we want to be taking as least steps back, and we want to be sat still for the least amount of time possible. If you rebound, you've then got to sit still on a cruise. And your weights come up, so you can't keep pushing your weight up on a cruise, because that's what AJ did to me, and I just got fucking fat. So that doesn't work. So if you run a rebound cycle, you've then got to sit flat during a cruise and make no progress and wait 6 or 8 weeks. Whereas if you kept the dose lower and came up and up and up, then you move to your cycle, it's just constant steps forward towards your goal.
Yeah.
But if you're a real bodybuilder, what you do is you finish your show, you do a big motherfucking rebound, and then you just carry that rebound on all the way to your next prep. That's what you do if you want to make.
But that's the point of keeping sensitive with food and watch your biofeedback. Like, you kind of have to throw the logic of normal off seasons out the window when you're in that period of time, because we know we would escalate food, which will give us, say, a couple of pound of weight. We'll kind of wait until that stalls or stabilizes, then we'll increase food again. I don't think that's the best way. I think ultimately you kind of want to be racing to get food as high as possible, but pay attention to, are you spilling over? Are you watery? All that sort of stuff. That's what you need to be looking at rather than scale weight specifically, because ideally you do want to crank food up as fast as possible due to the supercompensation, how sensitive you're going to be at that period of time, without spoiling it. And then, like Riz said, if you nail that bit right, you should be nice and full, a good 10, 20, 30 pound up by that period of time. You then bang the drugs in, Lantus growth from all that sort of comes in, and then you're talking a 60, 70, 80 pound off season, and you're not going to be a fat, sloppy mess.
I think
you got it.
I think just want to say something to people as well. Don't look at other people's rebounds and think that's how yours is going to be. Now, my fattest body part has always been my midsection, yeah? So it's always a section that also becomes the less lean, the fastest. You know this, Hilly, I know this, right?
Yeah, all 3 of us are exactly the same.
My midsection is the first thing that goes, but I have veins in my legs through every fucking part all year round. So remember one thing, your body will be different to everyone else. So don't look at everyone else on the internet who's only showing their 6-pack. For myself, once my pec shit goes, I know I'm too fat. Once the leg veins go, I know I'm too fat. So as long as them areas are in check, you're okay.
And Riz has just said exactly what I was going to say, but just from a different angle. Also, don't forget, if last year was your first show, if this year's your first show, you were going to get fatter during your rebound. We all got fatter during our first rebounds. We probably all got fatter during our second rebounds. We probably all got fatter during our third rebounds. You can't look at Riz's rebound now, right? Or the way I stayed lean last year, or the way Deck rebounds from the diet that we did, or Dan Bastic's rebound from this diet is going to be fucking nuts because we're focused on keeping him sensitive, right? You can't look at these results in your early stages of bodybuilding and think that that's the way yours is going to go. Kuba's got a client at the moment that is absolutely smashing all his shows. I think there's two of them look awesome. But the 2 years when they competed, they didn't have the same effect then. You have to look at someone in their body, the same as Kuba. Now what, John? You can't look at someone that has been doing this 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Look at what they do into a show, post-show, and be like, well, what I'm doing is wrong, or my coach is fucked up, or I fucked up because I'm not making progress like them. You've got to look at what these guys, whether it's James Hollingshead, you can't look at what James does and be like, well, I should be doing that. You've got to go and look at what he did 10 years ago. And that's one of the main problems with social media and what people see is they'll rebound from their first show, male or female, and then they're watching their favourite pro, or they're watching Riz, or they're watching Deck, and they're like, well, he looks like that 6 weeks post-show. I should look like that. Deck's like, and it's like, well, none of us look like that after our first show.
As long as I look good in the vest, I don't give a flying fuck no more. That's literally, I look good in the shorts, I don't give a fuck. I'm happy with that. I ain't gonna be.
But Riz is the best. Me, Riz, and Deck, we all genetically gain fat easier than other people. We all do. We stay leaner around the limbs to midsection. It goes. Every time Riz does a show now, when we work together and then when we stop working together, every show Riz does at the 6 week out mark, the 6 week post show, Hilly, can you believe I'm staying this lean? Look at man's midsection. I'm saying on this podcast now, can you believe, lads? Look how lean I'm holding this. We've been in this fucking a long time. It's not going to happen after your first show. It's not going to happen after your second show.
I was saying to a client today, because he was like, bro, my stomach is getting too fat. I went, bro, listen, you do not carry enough muscle mass, number one, yeah? And if we do not carry enough muscle mass, and we now cut back, you'll look the same as you did 5 months ago. We need to get soft at some point and to get the muscle on.
I will say this, the people who don't grow are the people that try to hold on to their abs, especially, the younger demographic. And there are people who see, like Riz said, the guy who's always got abs. But look how fat the cunt's legs are. I could roll 5 names off now of people who look decent up top all year round, but they get to 2-3 weeks out, their legs are still fat, and they just pack prepping because they know they haven't got the minerals to dig that out. So it will benefit you over time, but don't let it, which me, Hilly, and Riz have all spoke about, don't let that limit your growth. Like, the metric should be strength performance in your very early days. Like, am I racking up weight? Am I taking PBs every week? Am I getting stronger? Am I getting fuller? Fuller, not bigger, fuller. And I think once you do that, that's when you're going to be winning.
I've said this over and over again, because there's all of this information out now, because so many people have gone through it and speak about it. But when I started doing this, like fucking 15 years ago, whatever it was, I was naturally a fat kid. So as soon as I would grow, I did my first show, I was absolutely diced. Always been known for being in condition. Abs were the first thing to go. Now, I had no idea why then. And what ruined my progress for years was I was judging my body composition, if it was in the right place, by how my midsection looked.
On one body part.
With no understanding of actually, if you've had more body fat when you were younger, those fat cells don't vanish. They just deplete. So if you had more fat around your midsection when you were younger, like most of us did at some point, then those fat cells are dying to be refilled. So as soon as you start putting body weight on, as soon as your body starts storing stored energy, which is fat, it is going to go to those where the majority of your fat cells are. So the reason I was walking around with veins in my legs and my arms and my legs, but my midsection would go. As soon as I couldn't see my abs, I was like, well, off season's done, pull back. When actually, my body fat was probably only 30 to 40%, which is nowhere near where I should have been stopping. But because no one No one was able to tell us this stuff now. And because I didn't understand it then, because no one really understood it, or there wasn't the information, I just kept going up and down at the wrong points, and I was never getting past this point. And it wasn't because I was worried about getting fat. The rule of thumb back then was, if you can't see your abs, you're too fat. When actually I saw this old school bodybuilder somewhere abroad, and he was like, mate, are you being serious? He said, you've got more splits in your legs and your arms than I do at 6 weeks out. He said, you've got another year where you can keep pushing, but all I was looking at was my midsection, which like Dave said, is most people's problems when you're young, in fairness.
This is the first time after a prep I've come out and I've gone, you know what? If I get a bit soft, man, I give a flying fuck. Because I walk around, I look a bit bigger, I look like a fucking bitch when I'm skinny as fuck. I can only keep prepping my bones so many times, yeah? Done about 10 shows and I keep trying to cut muscle which doesn't even exist, yeah? And I'm like, you know what? I look bigger in a t-shirt, my legs look bigger, they look more vascular, I'm happy with that. I'm cool with that, do you know what I mean? And you learn to accept that no one is perfect. Do you know
Also,
what I mean?
I said this before as well, and thankfully, I don't mind being fat because all I care about is training. But I've said this so many times before. My training really comes into its own when my midsection is really fat. Don't get me wrong, I still got striations in my legs, I'm veiny, but like there is, I reckon I'm 4 months past where people would tap out in terms of midsection fat, where my training gets really, really strong and a bit fucking weird. And it's always the last 6 weeks of my off season where I feel like I do the most work in terms of gaining muscle. Does that make sense? Because my calories are stupidly high, my expenditure is very low, my recovery abilities are phenomenal because I have so much food in me, and I'm able to get very strong and stabilize weight. So like that's the other key thing is some people will perform very well very lean. Some people need to get very soft to perform very well. You should always be looking to find where you perform your best because that's where you're going to grow the most muscle.
Matt Jansen's doing a series of podcasts at the moment, educational
Good.
ones. Yeah, they're good. I like Matt. And he said in terms of an off-season percentage, he has no issues with clients going sort of 16 to 18%. No issues at all. He says sort of 14 to 16, 14 to 18%. He says he thinks stealing the 15% isn't beneficial, if I remember.
But I think we need to clarify as well on this podcast, when we say fat, we are not talking fat motherfucker who can't walk, can't breathe, can't do normal activities. You've got tit fold.
No.
That's not what we're talking about, as Hilly would call it, chest fold, because he's nice.
Yeah.
If you've got tits and you're a state, then listen, mate, you're fat as fuck. We're not talking about that. We're talking about slightly soft.
Hey, Cam's asked the question. Thoughts on, in brackets, pro cards that aren't IFBB pro cards?
I used to mug it off, but I think with some of what the federations are doing nowadays in terms of money they're giving out, flying people to America, Vegas, all this sort of stuff, the quality of shows they're putting on with backstage gyms and all sort of shit. I actually think some of the other federations are, look, the pro card's always going to be the pinnacle. If you're shooting for the Olympia, that's going to be the pinnacle because it's the only gateway there. But there are people that are not going to get to that position, or some people that don't even want to because they may have careers or lifestyles and that sort of stuff. And I think the lesser people that I used to mug off, or the lesser federations, are doing such a good job now of making it appealing, even with their pro cards. That is why you're seeing so many people going to NFM, PCA, the smaller federations, whoever they fucking are, because there's more reward there nowadays.
What I don't like is, I agree, my thinking's changed a bit as well, and only in regards to the PCA pro card. What I don't like is, I believe that's just given out on if they deem someone worthy.
Yeah.
So it's not a sort of, the pro card, achieving that status should be from winning, not from people deeming you're worthy at a random show. But I do agree with everything Dex said. I do think the PCA pro card has some merit. What I don't like is the other little federations where I've had a client, she got a pro card in her first show at this thing, because she came second or third in a class. So then she got to go to the pro show. If you won your class, they would let you go to America. Without being awful, it's fucking nonsense. And if you've got one of those cards and you put it in your fucking tag that in your Instagram name, it's quite like, you can't. You're not a professional athlete. It's got no merit to it. You can't come second in a fucking class at a regional and get a fucking pro card. It's insane. Like, to be, yes, it's easier to get an IFBB pro card now than it used to be. But you still have to take your ass abroad. You still have to beat everybody else that has been to regionals, that has been to this, been to that. So they've had to win a regional, or they've had to go to a regional, then they've had to go to, say, Spain, they've had to beat everybody in their class, then they've had to beat everybody in the overall, or at the very big busy shows, it's top 3. You can't go to a regional show, place fucking second, get a pro card, and call yourself a pro. It's a fucking joke.
Do you know, touching on the topic of this pro card, yeah? I don't know, maybe it's because I'm old and I'm being a bit of a shitter, yeah? But I see so many young lads now. I don't know, maybe it's the way you told me when I was younger, Hilly. Listen, mate, you said to me straight, listen, bro, get your mortgage, get your fucking house, get married, get everything sorted, and then do your bodybuilding. So now I'm at the stage where I can. But now I see lads who are 27, 28, shit job, no savings, no car, no missus, no kids, and they're on about a pro card. I'm like, bruv, what the fuck are you talking about pro card? You have got nothing to fall back on. Do you think
nobody get a pro card?
There's no money in a pro card. Like, it lets you
have to pay for it.
It lets you are the top 20 in the world of the open class. Yes, there is revenue streams from sponsors and coaching. We're all aware of that. We all make money from the same thing. But if you are relying on becoming a pro and not making money, there are people in the Olympic stage that have fucking jobs, like real jobs. Like they're built. Fucking, who was the guy that died? The black guy, George Peterson. George Peterson. He was a lift technician. The day before the Olympics, he was on a call-out job. Like, these are the best people in the world that still have careers to fall back on because there is no financial stability in this sport, and it has a very short lifespan. But I completely agree. I feel sorry for them, to be honest, because I feel like they live in a deluded social media world. It's not the real world.
We all have jobs outside of this. Me competing's never made a difference to me. We all have qualifications. We all have good jobs. Bodybuilding could die today, and we would all make money elsewhere. Whereas these kids,
money, I'd be richer.
I'd be rich. And the thing is, I had lots of clients before Instagram ever fucking existed. I was working as a sports therapist. I was working within the NHS. And I had clients before Instagram existed. Instagram could die tomorrow, won't change me. But like, it's created this thing where people think, and some people can make lots of money from it, but there's people making lots of money through social media that don't have pro cards. Pro card doesn't, because I'm talking about an IFBB pro card, because it is easier to enter, to get these days. And it is easy. I don't care which way you want to piss about with it. You keep banging at quality shows. You have to be great. You have to put the work in. It's not like it used to be where there was just one in the UK, one in Europe, and what else is. Getting one, even back then when it was hard to get one, didn't guarantee you anything. Now it certainly doesn't. This huge focus on it is just mind-blowing. And again, if that is a goal of yours, that is something you want, then that is a fantastic goal. We should all have goals. But as Riz said, I have said this to all of my clients from day one. The amount of my clients like, can you help? Because they know I've helped other people become coaches and quite successful coaches. And I'm like, listen, so someone the other week, I'm going to leave my job and do coaching. I said, I think you're a moron. What do you mean? And he was like, well, you're like, and I said, I never left my job to do coaching. I said, I just ended up with that many people asking me to do it and offering me money. It didn't make sense. And I would have never left the eating disorder unit I worked on if it didn't close. I never wanted to be a coach. And I even hate the fucking terminology coach, to be honest. But he was like, I'm going to leave my very good job to do coaching. I said, can you afford to pay your bills without your job? Oh, well. I said, how are you going to afford bodybuilding then? I said, you want a pro card? I said, you know how expensive it is to build a physique there to get that? I said, how are you going to pay for this shit? He was like, oh, well, I just thought, what is going on in people's heads?
Yeah.
What is going on?
The other thing is,
people live in a dreamland, bro. People live in dreamland, yeah? The amount of people said to me, oh, bro, you're a coach because Hilly taught you. Why can't you teach me? I'm like, well, you worked with him for 6 years. You go back then when Hilly was not that popular, and you say, all right, bro, let's do every single drug and we'll make a lot of fuck-ups. Go do that. Go work all the jobs that I worked and do everything that I did, and then by fluke, yeah, become a coach because your wife got poorly, yeah?
People can't even seem to manage to work a full-time job in bodybuilding now, like we've all done for fucking years.
If I lose my job tomorrow, if bodybuilding shut down tomorrow and all my supplements got shut down tomorrow, I'll go back to a design job tomorrow within one day.
I was
People are mad.
working for the NHS. I was doing private sports therapy stuff. I was then working at 2 rugby clubs as their sports therapist and managing my dad's houses and then doing anything else to make money and bodybuilding and competing and fucking partying.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people are like, well, I can't take my bird out for food. I can't work a full-time job. I can't do this. I can only bodybuild. I'm like, mate, you just fucking lazy.
But in the early days, like when I was with Hilly first of all, like we didn't speak for the first year, not really. We did emails and stuff, but I wanted to coach. I didn't want to coach. I wanted to understand what he was doing, but I didn't go, "Why are you doing that?" He would send me instruction, then I would go to Google, and then I would watch podcasts, and I
Yeah,
would go on forums, and I go, "This is why he's thinking that." I don't have to trouble him. There's never a time I've gone, "Mate, why you done that?" I've gone, "Hey, the next week I looked into this. Is this why we're doing this?" He's gone, "Yeah, exactly. And this is the reason we're doing it." And then that's me learning. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm not asking for
yeah, yeah,
him to say, "Teach me how to be a coach. Here's a dummy's guide." I just wanted to learn over time because I was interested how it would affect me. Then that gives you the ability to offer free advice. People start coming to you in the gym. You're growing really well. You know how you're training. You've seen you spoke to so and so, and it becomes very organic. But a lot of these kids, and I mean this, these younger people, forget your photos on Instagram in goon lighting, in a face in the mirror where you're magnified and you look really good. Go to a fucking pro qualifier and see what these guys look like up close. It is far more different to what you look like in real life when you see them up close in person. I think that's the only time you get a real understanding. Like that Jamie Harrison or whatever was in JP's gym the other day. The cunt makes you want to pack in bodybuilding. When you're at that level, that's when you can talk about being a pro. When we went to Riz's show, we watched
yeah.
that Jack Eagles pose. Mate, the kid was like as elegant as a fucking unicorn that doesn't even exist. Like the way he posed, the way he held himself, the way his muscles insert in his body. They are the elite. They are the people that are warranted or can say,
Yeah.
I might pack all the career stuff in because I'm going to go pro because they have the ability to be in that top 20 we're talking
And
about and make
let
money.
me tell you right now, yeah, I know Jamie. We go to the same gym. He's local to me as well. He works a full-time fucking job, and he's got a stepdaughter, I'm sure, that he looks after, and he's got a missus he looks after. He pays all the fucking bills. He works a proper job. Matt Barmer, arguably next UK pro, massive. He works a full-time job. The motherfucker wakes up 4 a.m. and comes back at 7 p.m. Yeah, and he is coaching full time and he is working a full time job. Yet we've got little tools who've got not even got a grand in the savings, living mum and dad talking about they're going to be a pro.
This brings me back. I've had 3 people over the last couple of weeks, right? The members of Jordan's forum, trained by JP Forum. It's in everybody's contract that they have to that they post on there every day and answer questions. The amount of information people have access to if they take the time to watch podcasts, if they pay $7.99 or whatever it is a month on Jordan's forum, is unbelievable. Yeah, I have people messaging me on Instagram that don't want to pay the book a consultation, but have coach in their name where they're charging people, wanting to pester me for questions, and I'm like, it's what Deck said. They're that lazy. They want someone to just walk them through it. They're too lazy to learn, yet they think that they can charge people money for information. They've got second hand of something else.
Yeah.
They're too lazy to ask questions. They're too late on Jordan's forum. They're too lazy to fucking watch a full podcast. They're too lazy to fucking Google stuff and learn themselves. And they don't want to pay for the information in any platform. They just want to try and have someone tell them, do this. And then they want to charge people for the fucking information. Insane.
I tell you what's mad. And me and Dee always talk about it, right? Me, business is doing good. Yeah, I still wear Martin's clothes. Business is doing good, yeah, I will still wear Deck's second-hand clothes that he'll give to me, yeah? I will still wear all of Hilly's hand-me-downs, and I will still wear the shit broke clothes that I've got and the shit Vans that I bought off eBay, yeah? Yeah, you got lads, they got no money, and they're buying all these new clothes because they're getting shit on Klarna, yeah? Taking the misses out for bougie places, and they're complaining they've got no money. It's because people don't know what the fuck they're doing, Hilly. We spoke about it before, like Christmas, yeah? How many people do you know that have only just about broke even now after Christmas? We're in fucking May.
Yeah.
Because they waste money on dumb shit. And they then say, oh, bro, I've got no money. I can't pay for coach. Well, it's not my fucking fault you're a dickhead.
Yeah.
People waste money on dumb shit as well, and it's their own fault.
It's the whole like
It's mad.
it's when they do the story that they're like working really hard because they've done one working block at Costa. Like I can't even imagine getting the little violin out and playing like the sympathy card on social media because you've had to work for 45 minutes of one single day. It's bonkers to me. Like I'll
we
work 10 hours. Like I'll fly across the world and work a 10-hour day, then go and train at midnight if I have to get my session, then go back to bed. You'll never see me post it on Instagram, not once.
yeah,
No story moaning, no saying how hardcore I am. I just go there because I enjoy doing it. You know.
bro. There was days over the last like 5 months, yeah, where I've packed 80 parcels, checked in 40 clients. I go to gym at 8 o'clock at night, and I've still got all my meals in, and I've just got it done.
Yeah.
And you just get it done. Some people just want what's the word, bro?
Instant
They want,
gratification.
yeah,
Instant
from
gratification.
Instagram. Oh, you're a grafter. No, you're not, mate. You're lazy as fuck, bro. We've not got a clue about graft.
It's like it used to make me laugh when you'd see people saying, it would come up on the phones, or my coach replied to me at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're in Dubai, the 4 hours fucking in, mate. At 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. They ain't awake during the night replying to you. That's not fucking, your work ethic's fucking superb. They're just 4 hours ahead in a different fucking time zone.
I think
I
I
can
get
just say
annoyed
though, I
because
know we're moaning, but obviously I went through some shit recently and just stopped posting on Instagram. The amount of people I don't even fucking know that just messaged me to make sure I was all right, or just say, "Hey, when's the show day? You've been." Well, I do know them. I chat to them just passing. The amount of support you get from people who just do watch your shit, do pay attention to what you're doing. There is a community feel with the right group of people, and like
oh,
it's
100%.
just there's that portion of them that just are dicks, unfortunately.
The thing is, we just say what every other motherfucker thinks.
Yeah,
It's just that a lot of people don't. They're scared to say something because of getting hurt people's feelings. Because when D was poorly, I, honest to God, hand on my heart, the bodybuilding community, the way they supported me, messaged D every day to see how she was. No one else did that. I had family members who didn't fucking do that.
yeah,
Do you know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It
Yeah,
is a
that's it.
very close knit community. Like your mate Dana Hilly, we didn't even fucking know her.
She's one of the best. She's one of the best people in the world I've ever met, Dana. She's
And she
such a
messaged
lovely
D every
person.
fucking day when D was going through chemo. She didn't even fucking know D.
Yeah,
D
she's a
messaged her and
lovely
said, "Oh,
person.
by the way, I'm one of Hilly's friends," and that was it. Do you know what I mean?
Right, boys, should we finish on our rants then?
Yeah, I'm fucking starving.
Me too. Man needs